Tuesday. RawMikeRichards.com. Broadcasting live from the DKI studios in downtown Toronto, 234 King Street East, in the Big Smoke at the Pacific Junction Hotel. Now, this mic to me sounds like it's really heavily muffled. Are you getting that, or is it just my settings on?
No, you sound okay to me.
Okay.
How do you sound? Yeah, how does he sound? Good? Okay.
Sounds like I'm talking through.
And we got some dude illegally parked behind us backing up, which is great. They're too busy ticketing us, but they can't ticket the guy that's illegally parked right beside us.
Well,
Just say.
We got a full show today, and hopefully helping a university student and two of his buddies who put together a great video for Red Bull, where they have to go over to Europe and use Red Bull as a currency. That's what the contest is.
It's a great video, too. And trust me, I've seen some of the other ones, and the other ones are crap compared to this.
They're garbage. So that's the thing. You have to get into like the top 20 or whatever it is.
Yep.
And then they start judging based on the video, which is why Red Bull said, some of these guys who are in the top 2 or 3, maybe they have a lot of, Facebook friends or something. But it comes down to the quality of the video. So that's where I think our guys are going to win. So we're going to talk to Zach Jones. See, that's a good sports name, too.
Zach Jones?
Zach Jones.
You know what? It sounds like a tight end out of like, I don't know, like, I'm going to say Southern Memphis.
Yeah.
But he's a big guy, right? And he catches everything. He's almost like a vacuum. Just me. I don't know. I don't know.
And the pass is complete to Zach Jones for a first down.
Maybe it's that Zach Ertz that I keep on hearing and how great he is with the Eagles and what an awesome season he had. But Zach Jones, I'll take him any day.
Actually, he's a long distance runner. Almost got a scholarship in the States. And our good friend Corey Belmore.
Yes.
Who out of Windsor, who is like the world record holder for the run a mile while drinking beer. They're like buddies because they're both sort of national caliber long distance guys. So we're going to do that today. Also, we'll talk. No, I don't know if we're going to talk about the All-Star game, the NBA All-Star game.
I got the under. I hit the under big time. It was when I closed it.
300?
No, 341.
340.
I know.
I can't.
It opened at 365, and when they tipped the ball, it was at 332. That's how far it dropped, and I got it at 341, so way under.
I just can't. Look, I'm not an all-star format game in almost any sport, just because generally the guys, number one now, because there's so much money in it, you play to not be hurt. Some guys don't want to go in it because they don't want to get hurt. Number two, because of that, it's not like you're seeing the real game. It's not like you're watching, something that's competitive. You know what it is? You're playing at the Y.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Yeah, big time.
Right? And a loser who goes hard at the Y is usually not invited back. It's the Jim Carrey in what was that movie?
He wears the uniform basically.
Yeah, and he's you can't do that.
Double headbands.
And so exactly right. Don't do that. And so I didn't watch the slam dunk competition, which used to be I thought it jumped the shark years ago. It's no knock against the guys who actually go in the competition. But it's been done. Like, what are you going to do? I think Larry Nance Jr. did something where he jumped in the air, off the backboard while still in the air, and slammed.
Yes.
Like, that's crazy. It's amazing. And yet I find that the appeal for almost, in basketball.
We've seen it so much.
Well, it was my last. Yeah. You know what? Maybe, just maybe, because of the way things are played, the way that the actual sport is played, I might make an argument that the only all-star formatted professional game you want to see is Major League Baseball.
Correct.
I think it's the only one, Dave.
Yep.
It's the closest to those guys are actually trying.
Okay, skills competition wise, Major League Baseball. Do you like the home run derby?
Yes.
Yeah, so do I. But all they're doing.
Do you want to do karate in the garage?
Yes. but okay. Now somebody listening to this will say, well, all they're doing is hitting home runs, Mike. So how are they doing that any different than dunking the same way? But it's just more fun watching home runs
because it's really how it's like. I don't see a lot of guys running down to the foul line and then lofting the ball up as the coach goes, what the and catching it to see if it goes in. I think a lot of guys probably are sitting down. But when you're knocking a ball like 510 or...
No, it's fun. I sit there hours watching it.
Because people never get sick. It's why if you get the baseball, like you play whatever, Xbox or PS1 or Xbox One, whatever you got. Do you ever play the home run derby?
It is fun because you're just getting cheese balls thrown at you every single time.
Back. I mean, that's what you're getting, and I will do it. We'll do it for days.
Yeah. It is fun hitting home runs.
It is the best. I mean, and just that dunking, you can only do so much, but a dinger like that is still something to watch. I guess the thing to not watch during the All-Star
Oh,
game.
jeez.
So Fergie has decided that she wants to jazz up the old American national anthem, which he thought was a good idea, but apparently for the rest of the world, WTF. But I'll tell you something. I'll tell you what the problem is while everyone jumped on this.
Okay, fire.
That every single girl on The Voice or American Idol or any of those other, The Search, The View, The Chew, The Show, any of these things.
Good show, the last one.
Even though people say, oh, why would you do that? Listen to every female singer who wants to be Amy Winehouse or a version of that. And there's and so she gets it in her head that she's like, you know what? Let's do that to the national anthem. Unfortunately, the result, terrible. And even the guys watching it were like, oh, my God, I can't believe she's doing this. But guess what? That's the way the music is going. So property of the National Basketball Association and NBA broadband properties, here is the disaster that was Fergie.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's
Here it comes.
early light what so proudly wave at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched.
Now, the thing is,
Were so
the arrangement's amazing, I think, by the musicians. However, the singing,
in the rocket's red glare,
it's the weird, crazy bridge that she does coming up. that I
Yes,
think,
that's the worst part of
And
it.
that's the part that,
This is tolerable, sort of.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 3 out of 10 tolerable.
yeah, yes. But until this, here we go. Sean Salisbury, our friend, said, I got cauliflower ears from listening to this. Here we go.
oh, say,
Oops.
does that star
Toronto penalty to number.
spangled banner never yet wave?
The ending, not good. In 3, 2, 1.
For the land of the free
She's feeling it. She's feeling it.
and the home of the brave. Let's play some basketball.
No. In fact, they should have canceled the game at that point.
Oof.
That was
tough to watch
that
again.
was very tough.
Jeez.
And I see.
And it's fun. And it's funny too. It's like, where has she been lately? So I guess from that department, she has gained, I guess, a little bit of a social setting as far as, oh, that's what she's doing now. Yeah, but I guess any press is bad press, or the old saying.
It's good press. But they say bad press is good press. But
Yeah.
in this case,
But it's terrible, man. It's you sit there and you go, how are they sitting there thinking this was a good decision? I don't know. I think it's I think people take this a little too. You just go out there and sing the song. It's sung one way. Go do it and get off the stage. That's all you have to do. It's pretty simple. It's a 2-minute song if you're taking the under, and that's all you have to do.
You wanted to bet on that one in the over. That's what you really wanted.
But you know what? If I'm betting that and I bet the under on that, I'm even more pissed
you're
off
boiling.
with that.
You're boiling. And I think that's why maybe people are mad. Let's be honest.
But there's not a lot of props for NBA All-Star Game national anthems, is there?
I don't know because
It's more of a Super Bowl sort of thing, right?
As you know, on this show, we're helpers. We like to help people. In a moment, we're going to talk to Zach Jones. We're going to talk exactly how the Red Bull contest is working for him. University of Windsor guys want to go to Europe. But here's what I've decided to do as well.
Fire.
I'm going to look for the singer for next year for the NBA. Yeah,
Okay.
You're welcome. And so I found this group. Go ahead, hit play it, Russell. I found a replacement for Fergie, and I really think I've nailed this one. And the NBA could use some good publicity, so I found you these two.
Oh, child on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere.
Nice.
Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born.
There you go. We don't need.
Shepherd
Yeah. Okay. So let's call on that happy note.
I think
here
it
we go.
might have hit it.
That was.
I mean, singing wise.
At least they're hot too.
Yeah, that's kind of what you want. Sex appeal in the national anthem. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that one when she goes topless. It's crazy.
Hello.
Is this Zach Jones?
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Zach, okay, so ignore everything that just happened before you because it was very disturbing. But I'll tell you, so tell the people with Red Bull what exactly this contest is, because when I explain it to people, they give me this face like, well, that sounds made up. No, not made up. How does a contest work?
So I believe they started in 2014, and basically they kind of expanded every year with more teams and what. So there's 200 university student teams from 60 different countries across the world, and there's 3 that are going to get picked from Canada, so we're trying to be one of those 3 teams. And basically what happens is if we get selected, we get a free trip to Europe for 7 days where they drop us off at a starting point roughly 1,000 kilometers away from Amsterdam, so like Stockholm, Madrid, Budapest, or Rome. And they take our phones, they take our money, so we have our passports, and then they give us a case of Red Bull, like just 24 cans. And then we have to travel to Amsterdam, trading Red Bull as our currency, so getting like train tickets, food, accommodations with only Red Bull. And then by hitting certain cities and doing like adventure stuff there, we get more Red Bull. So it's like we just don't have 24 for the whole trip. We'll have hopefully like over 100 by more, like getting checkpoints and whatnot. So it's a pretty wild thing. One of my friends from high school made it in 2016, and she said it was like the best experience of her life. And then the last day in Amsterdam, there's just like kind of a big party with all 600 university students from across the world.
Yeah, I guess that couldn't be bad. Also, I think I've mentioned it also sounds like the plot to Hostel. So you just want to make sure
Yeah.
where, you know, or for those who don't know, don't watch Hostel before you go to Europe. Now, so we're looking at you being around 19th place. You're in the top 20, which means you're going to go, but that doesn't mean you still can't. We've got, what, about an hour to get more votes in? Something like that?
Yeah, on a European teams, and it all depends on the time zone. So we've either got like a couple more hours, or we have till 6 o'clock tonight. We have no idea depending on like if it's 6 p.m. European Standard Time or it's 6 p.m. our time. But yeah, we're trying to at least get over that 2,000 vote hump. We're like 50 votes off, so that's kind of the goal right now. And then there's over 100 Canadian teams, and 25% of those teams get thrown into the judging round, which is nice because at least it's just not like a popularity contest. So we're looking pretty good to get into the judging round.
Yeah, because the judging round has to do with the actual quality of the video, which we're going to see in a couple of seconds here. And you actually spent some time on it. This isn't just a handheld phone thing. You actually did some pretty high production values on this.
Yeah. So like I'm a communication media and film major at school, so I've done a couple videos throughout my university career. And I had a couple friends help out, so we did like a nice camera, external microphone, and then it took me about 6 hours in Premiere to put it all together and just have it absolutely how we want it. And we're really happy with it. We filmed it last Friday in Windsor, and I was in the middle of a snowstorm, so we got hit with like about 1.5 feet in a 24-hour time range, and we were just like, okay, let's do it. It's more Canadian. We have snow instead of doing it inside, so it turned out pretty good. And I don't know, based like watching other videos, I'm feeling pretty confident that the judges will like ours over others. We're
actually
pretty unique, I think.
Actually, Dave had a more a black and white comment about the other videos.
Yeah, Zach, the other videos you're up against kind of suck. You know, so
Shit.
that's why I kind of like yours. Let me ask you this: so the creativity behind it before we see the video, whose idea was it? And was this more of a joint, or did you kind of have an idea in mind and it just, let's do this, let's add this, let's subtract this? How did it all come about? Because I have a younger brother that's auditioned a couple times for Amazing Race Canada, and he's actually made the interview round, and he just keeps on going back because you have to tinker with it and you have to find what somebody else is going to like. So maybe take us through that a little bit before we show the video and so forth.
Yeah. Okay. So it probably helps with me being like a social media major and like understanding. And like last year, I wrote a 20-page paper on Red Bull branding last year. That kind of helped to begin with. So the first thing that I did, and I feel like a lot of teams probably didn't do this, I emailed a team from Calgary that made it in 2014 because I want to know like how, because I knew they got selected. So I'm like, okay, like walk me through what you guys did for your video so we can do like a good job. And then my other friend, Kendra from high school, and she made it in 2016. So I'm like, hey, send me your video and like tell me some tips. And then I asked our brand ambassador at our school what to do. And he gave us like kind of all three gave us the same tips. And they're like, be unique and don't be the same. And the one thing that I love about our video is that compared to the other Canadian videos, we're the only team that I feel like stands out that no other team has like a similarity with. So like a lot of teams, like I think I counted 8 teams were fishing Red Bull. Like they put a Red Bull on a friggin' like a fishing rod and just reeled in. And then a lot of other teams did like the stop frame where they'd explain who their teammates are. And I watched the 2 other Canadian teams from the other years that have made it, and I saw exactly how they kind of created their video. And I'm like, okay, that's going to be successful. Let's make it like our way. And the big tip that I got was make it a lot about your school and make it a lot about Canada. So like filming in a snowstorm, filming it on campus, and then like my whole part was trying to make, because like Windsor's not a very big university. So it was like make it more about how like we're kind of the underdogs. So that's where like the whole David versus Goliath
Perfect
part comes in.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I don't know. I wrote it and I loved it.
We also, well, take it easy over there. What are you? All of a sudden, you're Quincy Jones, you're Spielberg. Just hold on a second. But also, you're, as I mentioned, kind of a high caliber track / country athlete at Windsor, and Corey Belmore, the world record holder in the drink and run. Is also a buddy here.
Miles.
Yeah, that's right, too. So I see there's a big tie in here. So, look, best of luck. We're going to keep tabs on exactly what you're doing, what your team is doing. We think you're going to get in. Then we'll wait for...
How do they vote? How do they vote? Make sure we get to that, too.
Yeah. So we're going to tweet this promo out today, and so they can go to the actual link itself. But as you said, it takes like 30 seconds. You can't just go to something and click on it. And the moment people got to register and log in with Facebook and Twitter, a lot of people just kind of don't do it. They fall off.
Exactly.
So we will send this out today.
So, go ahead.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll send it out today and try to get the votes in. Just kind of convince people that the 30 seconds is worth it, because we want to see you. And I know certainly your father Jerry would love to see you out of the house for 7 days. So
yeah,
this is what we're going to try to do. Hey, thanks for joining us here today, and for the folks watching right now here on live on rawmikerichards.com and the dedicated YouTube channel with the Red Bull. Here is the video you want to vote on. Thanks for joining us here this morning, Zach.
Thanks so much.
60 countries, 200 teams, and a chase to travel across Europe. It's an epic story, a simple story. David versus Goliath. You see, it's bigger than small town Windsor versus Canada. It's Canada versus the world. Us versus Europe. Can we make it to Amsterdam?
Yeah, and probably back to Canada. Guys, we're Canadian, and in Canada, we can survive any snowstorm. We ride polar bears to school. Okay, maybe that's a stretch. And we say sorry even when we don't need to.
This is us. This is our Canada. 7 days. It's not simple. Europe to Amsterdam. No money, no phones. Only Red Bull and our passports are currency. Are you ready?
We're ready.
We're ready.
There you go. So vote for the boys today.
I love the throwing of the Red Bulls and the walking, the camera changes. I think it looks good. Even do it at the end. Decides to go Blue Bomber on us and no shirt in the middle of a snowstorm. I love it.
Didn't know that was called Blue Bomber.
It was.
That's interesting. You're watching rawmikerichards.com. And you're watching the Raw Mike Richards Show, courtesy of our good friends at DKI Canada. By the way, they've got a huge thing out in Banff right now and they're also
I
promoting.
saw that actually.
yeah.
And they had the DKI actually tweeted something out about our buddy Stu Ball, which I
Stu Ball.
liked.
Yeah, and so they're presenting
And,
as a part of it is how we have integrated a national Canadian company, and a good one at that too, with what we do here in terms of the internet. So the marketing is pretty cool because we've trust me, we've enjoyed being a part of DKI, as DK has really been happy with what they've seen with Raw Mike Richards. So we are thrilled about that. What else are we thrilled about? Well, I guess the Olympics, Virtue and Moyer.
Yep.
They claim the ice dance gold in a thrilling finale. And, a lot of times they'll say, and they broke a world record. I don't understand that. Like, what do you mean a world? Don't they just win or not win?
Yeah,
But I guess, what is it,
in
points or something?
Yeah, I'll never understand that. I'll never understand that.
I don't know what that means.
No, exactly. It's
Like if you do so many twirls or...
Meh. It's almost like when I was watching this, I was like, do you think they'll win? Do you think they'll win? Yeah. How could they not possibly win unless, Scotty drops her or something? So, Scotty didn't. Everything was good.
Scotty don't.
Scotty don't do. There was nobody close to them in ability. This is the greatest pairs team in the history of the world. I don't know. Hey, good for them. Good for them, right? I mean, I'm not making fun of it. I'm just saying it's kind of like you kind of knew what was going to happen, right?
Perhaps they did. Like here's the double hoopleberry. I don't know if they tried the flaming blueberry. The
flaming raspberry, wasn't it?
Yeah, flaming raspberry, something like that. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Actually, they don't even play this music anymore.
No, they don't.
No, they don't do it.
They were playing some kind of weird version of Roxanne.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My wife was watching it this morning on replay, and they were playing. It's not the Police version of Roxanne. It was something else.
I hate the covers of some of these.
And they're
songs.
like, and then as soon as the order, and she was wearing the red dress as well. I was like, oh.
Yes, just like the prostitute sung in the song.
I'm almost certain they didn't know that they were referring to prostitution and the red light.
You don't have to wear that dress tonight.
You don't have to walk the streets for money.
For money, yeah. Hold on, wait a minute. The judges are now conferring. Oh my God, it's a goddamn hooker song. Sting, you dirty, dirty Sting.
But it wasn't Sting.
Yes.
It was somebody imitating Sting.
Yeah, and here's the new version. That's what you skate to. Okay? Yeah.
Thank you.
When you want the double hoopleberry, this is the music that you do it to. I'm just saying. I don't know. I'll tell you what. I have not watched a lot of the men's hockey. I said that I probably wouldn't, and I got to be honest. It does not hold interest for me. That's not to say that no one else is watching because
this guy is.
Because the Slovenians
Slovenia looked really good until this morning, and I got some really disappointing news if you don't know. So spoiler alert if you don't know. Norway and Slovenia went to overtime. Norway won. So Slovenia is out of the tournament. Slovenia was actually favorites in this tournament.
What do you mean out of the tournament? They're gone?
Yeah, they're gone. Yeah, they've been eliminated. I know. I'm just as disappointed as you are, okay?
Well, they're going to head right to Earl's.
I think so.
And they'll go, screw the mixed vegetable. Just give us the meat. Give us the ribs. We're so upset.
So, and there was another upset this morning too. Germany upset Switzerland 2-1 in overtime.
Like it's so. I mean, again, you can't base it on if you're Phil Gray or any of the odds makers. What are you basing these lineups on? Because you can't really.
Nope.
Because I thought Switzerland, quite honestly, would be good.
Yeah, and there's a pile of unders. If you're looking at totals for the men's and women's, pile of unders in this one. One that wasn't an under, however, Finland over South Korea 5-2. So Canada will play Finland in a couple of days. The United States also won yesterday, so then move on to play the Czech Republic. They beat Slovakia. So it's Czech Republic next. The winner goes into the semifinals. I don't expect the United States to win that, but it can happen. It can happen.
Here's the music I'm skating to.
What are you wearing?
All black.
Yeah, I could see you wearing like something like
tight,
like the Crow, long
completely.
black leather jacket.
Yeah, you start with the jacket, but at the end, like shirtless, and you're just like.
That's good. You're going to get some artistic points with that move.
France really likes it.
You hear about the nipple slip on the weekend too?
Oh, you're kidding! What, in this event?
No, in the pairs event. The woman from I'm going to say France.
Of course,
France. Yeah, little bit of a oops.
or Romanian or something. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? The music comes on. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, sorry, Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it didn't really help them on the numbers as much as they probably hoped it would have.
Like all of a sudden, the Canadian judge. 6. 6 from the Canadian judge. Yes, it looks like. Hello, everyone. I'm Scott Mingus. The Canadian judge under a lot of scrutiny because of that 6 given to the girl who showed her breasts. He also was wearing sweatpants and had an enormous erection. Dave?
Thanks, Scott. In other news this weekend, and some good news. You want to hear a good news story? Good news gambling story. On Sunday during Inside the Lines, Phil Gray calls in as he usually does, and we'll probably talk to him a little bit later on this week. We'll see. We'll decide between him and old Stephen Rapp. And he comes in and he says, guys, quick tip on the Daytona 500. There's a lot of money coming in on a relative unknown named Austin Dillon. He's paying 40-1 to win at Daytona. So just a quick tip, and people are laughing about it and so forth. So during the interview, I pull out the old phone, I look him up. He's paying 40-1 on Sports Interaction, and I think, and you see all the names ahead of him, and they're all the big heavyweights. Your Harvicks, your Trussick Jr., your Bushes, your Earnhardts. Everything is above him. I put down $2 just as a throwaway, thinking, okay, I've spent worse money than this on dumber things.
I got to get some. Hold on. These chocolate little NASCARs go down to
Yep.
Dave. How'd you do now? Hey.
Threw down $2 on 40-1. Stephen Rapp looks at me and goes, you know what? Yeah, why not? He throws down $20 on 40-1. It hits.
Oh,
the
God.
guy wins.
There you go.
The guy wins. So I end up winning $80, which isn't much, but on a $2 bet, I'll take it. Stephen Rapp hits $800 on a 40-1 long shot to win. The good old boy.
And this oh yeah, he's a real good old boy.
Yeah, I'll get them Dukes.
The cars are too loud. In my day, so this was on Inside the Lines. He did that.
Yeah, and Inside the Lines, he phones in and he gives us this tip about how money is coming in on this guy early in the morning. And Daytona 500 is actually a fun event. If you,
it's big. It's
even if you don't really like NASCAR, it's kind of like their Super Bowl. Their season's kind of weird because
they start with the Super Bowl.
They start with the Super Bowl. It's almost like here's the biggest race of the season. And now here's the rest of the schedule until we close out to the very end, and nobody's watching at the end because the biggest gay race was happening in February.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But yes, that's what it was. 40-1 long shot. We bet it, we won it, and we move on.
Also, taking a look at it's funny we talked about
that was good NASCAR music, by the way.
I think that's what we'll call it. Looking at the sports, the way that we talk about the NBA All-Star game, but the way that the sport's played. Now, if you want to call it non-contact, because by definition, I suppose basketball is a non-contact sport, unless, of course, you play it. When you play it, you realize it's at times nothing but contact. And if you think today gets out of hand, I mean, you got to go back to what I call in the day. So let's go back to, say, the Larry Bird era. You take a look at the parquet floor. Don't you miss that? I love the parquet floor. It was so good.
You knew exactly where it was just by looking at the floor for a second. No logos, no nothing. You knew where you were playing.
It was the best. But I'll tell you what wasn't the best. If you had to play against Danny Ainge, because he was mouthing all the time. Now, so the story on Danny Ainge, he's a freak athlete, how good he is. So he's in Eugene, Oregon as a high school student. I saw him play because I was there at the same time, like 4 different sports. If he had put on skates, who knows how good he would have been. But he also had a mouth. He also got on people's nerves big time. He ends up going to BYU, which figures. For those that don't like BYU, that's sort of how you see them, which is like anyone and everyone who doesn't go to BYU. He eventually ends up playing for the Boston Celtics. Now I remember Tree Rollins. Tree Rollins was, the nickname says it all. That's how big he was. In fact, you're going to see him make a dunk, and I don't know if he jumps. He's a big guy. He gets clotheslined, Tree Rollins clotheslines Danny Ainge because of the chirping, and then it continues on from there. And as they say, and here comes the melee. Once again from Boston Gardens. This is actually a big game at this point. We're talking Larry Bird era. I mean, this was the time. Property of the NBA and NBA broadband properties, how basketball sometimes used to be played.
Here at the Boston Garden, this is the third and deciding game of this mini-series. The winner to go on to beat Milwaukee. Rollins takes out the frustration on the basket. Here we go. Danny Ainge. Oh, a free-for-all.
Oh, my goodness.
Coaches, officials all over the floor trying to pull them apart. It's still going on. We've got everybody on the floor involved.
The nasty.
I thought they said the hockey game wasn't until tonight.
Well, Danny Ainge got the worst that he's got.
Waka, waka.
Yeah.
On top of him right now. They can't get him off. Tree Rollins has got him in a headlock, but
Yeah, he must have been chirping. Tree Rollins goes by and completely clotheslines him, and then you saw what happened. Ugly.
somebody get hurt in something like
This was, but we're talking back in the day. This was a very physical league.
Let's see how it started. It looked like Ainge tackled Rollins, but they're still taunting each other here. This may not be finished yet. Wilkins wants a piece of somebody.
Outstanding.
The trainer, Joe, too, pulling Wilkins back.
It's a little WWE-ish by the noise from the crowd.
Frank, one thing I've always learned, never.
This is what the NBA All-Star Game isn't.
I did it 5 years ago with Daryl Dawkins. He punched me and split my eye open in the Portland.
Terrell Dawkins is another beast.
Guys are gonna go at it. You get out
Telling
there.
that story.
There's nothing you're gonna do.
Ainge is leaving. Whether or not it's by injury or whether it's because he's been asked to leave remains to be seen.
I would be very surprised if Tree Rollins was not ejected along with Danny Ainge.
Well, Rollins going to be gone too. But watch this. Here's how it
Let's
starts.
take a look at it again. Here's how it started.
So Ainge going to say, watch the clothesline.
The round field flying down the floor. Then look at the elbow there on
Boom.
Ainge. That was
Oh, it's the
thrown
elbow.
by Tree Rollins. And now Ainge will tackle Rollins. Watch this.
Well, he was smart to go in low.
But see, he played football. I saw him play football. This doesn't surprise me. Ainge wouldn't be afraid. That's the thing about Danny Ainge. He wouldn't have been afraid. Anyway, that's just a little old school there for you, Davey.
Yeah, no kidding. Man.
He was.
I remember Tree Rollins, too. He played
yeah.
a little bit in the NBA.
Yeah.
Not to the extent of a Danny Ainge. And
But he made a name for himself
Yep.
with that. But it's at Ainge's mouth is sort of aside from his athletic ability. He was drafted by the Blue Jays as well and played for the
yes,
Blue
he
Jays.
was. Yep.
He played.
He actually has a Blue Jay baseball card. Like
Yeah.
You can find
Yeah,
a
yeah.
Danny Ainge baseball card if you Google, Danny Ainge Blue Jay baseball card.
It's one of those things where he's one of these guys where you always hear, well, you may not like him, but you want to have one of those guys on your team.
Claude Lemieux of basketball?
But I hear that all the time, and I'm like, do you have to have an agitator on your team? Do you have to? So let's talk hockey then.
You don't have to, but it sure helps. A lot of great teams have it. Boston Bruins might be the favorite in the Eastern Conference, and they have probably the biggest one in the league. Calgary Flames are going to make their way into the playoffs, and they have one, too, that has 22 goals on the season. So do the Toronto Maple Leafs have one? I guess Nazem Kadri would be the closest thing to it.
But I don't think he would be in that category.
But he's not in
of-
that. No, he's not.
Like, people don't go, oh, God, we're going to play them, so just watch out for his shenanigans. I don't think they say that.
No, especially that word, shenanigans.
Shenanigans. I love the word
It
shenanigans.
is. It should be used every single
We love the
game
shenanigans.
tape.
DJ Styles loved the shenanigans.
Shenanigans. Who else provides shenanigans, Russell, on the Maple Leafs outside of
Yeah.
Kadri? Tell me.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Who?
Nobody.
Do they have one?
Hashtag soft team. Hashtag soft team.
Not
soft.
Not so much
Soft
this
like
year.
butter.
In the past, it was Komarov, but with his lack of offense this year, it's kind of been not noticeable how annoying he is. So
Are you over that Shoshnikov trade? Because we haven't had a chance to talk about that.
yeah, I mean,
You
it was
sure?
it was bound to happen.
I still see
so.
tears.
Do you think the Leafs say we're little softies?
Still one of the top teams in
I
the
see.
league, so
Okay,
they can
yeah.
be as soft as they want as long as they keep winning.
It's the only thing I'll say about getting into the playoffs, even though the game has changed, let's say, post, 2004, when all the rules kind of changed, you still got to have grit, though. You still can't
Sure
be
you
a
do.
team that people – because I thought when Pittsburgh struggled, and even though people want to probably pile on Marc-Andre Fleury at that time, but their biggest problem was I think teams knew they could roll them over. that they weren't going to they weren't getting grit coming back. And
That's
when
right.
you don't have that, it's blood in the water, and you attack.
See, and that's why I don't understand, and I hope it's just a temporary thing. And I understand Kasperi Kapanen has a lot of speed, and everything's great about that. But Matt Martin plays that role for the Toronto Maple Leafs better than anybody. If Matt Martin's on the ice, there's going to be some accountability. And I know the game has changed, but in the playoffs, this guy has to play. And this guy has to get involved. And this guy could be that piece that maybe makes you a lot tougher than you look. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're walking down the street with Matt Martin, you're a hell of a lot tougher if you're walking down the street with Russell Graham. And right now they have a bunch of Russell Grahams out there. I love Russell Graham, but if I'm walking down the street,
It sure doesn't sound like it.
no. If I'm walking down the street, I'm picking Matt Martin in the middle of the night, and that's what the Toronto Maple Leafs need.
Well, as we take a look at the standings as it is right now, and again, there are some years where I go, okay, let's see what action there is in the bottom 8, sort of the bubble going on down coming up. And so far, as we see, basically after or getting close to, overall it's about 60 games. So
Yeah.
you got the Lightning, 81 points, Bruins 80 points. They're going to be tough. The Leafs 77, and then a drop. Panthers 58, Red Wings 57.
Yeah,
you get the Caps. You got the Caps at 75,
Yep.
Penguins at 74, Flyers at 70. So if we're looking overall,
The Flyers picked up a goaltender last night, Peter Mrazek from the Detroit Red Wings.
do you like that? Is that a?
Yeah, good luck to you. It never cost you much. Peter Mrazek.
Is it a flyer? No. Oh God, I can't believe I did that.
That's good.
What am I, Ron?
You might be.
That was bad. I didn't even mean to do that, folks. I'm sorry.
No, you
Terrible.
know what? Peter Mrazek might be the last goaltender in the NHL that small. Like he's relatively young, Mike, but the goaltending art has turned into people north of Peter Mrazek. And I just
Totally. I mean,
I'm sorry. I just
a goalie that's like he's not 5'11".
I don't think he's 5'11".
He's not 5'11".
I don't think he probably lists at that, but I bet you he's more like 5'9", 5'10". At best. And then it's like, hey, but on goalie skates, no, we're talking about the 6'5", 6'6" giants wear goalie skates too. You can't sit there and I don't know.
Here's what I find a little strange. It makes me a little uncomfortable. Could the Columbus Jackets miss the playoffs?
Yes.
What? You know what? I'm sick of every year hearing about what they've got. Because guess what? I kind of buy into it a little bit.
Yep.
It's not like I think people are full of it when they start talking about the Blue Jackets. I get how they play at home. They're just that they're always going to play you tough, and yet the result never shows up. And to think that you'd be beaten by a Carolina Hurricane team,
That's
bad.
very bad. I don't see the Carolina Hurricanes being there at the end. They're in a spot right now. If the playoffs start today, they're in a spot. I see them taking it. I think there's an opening there. I don't see the Devils moving down. If anything, I see the Flyers maybe challenging to move down the standings rather than up the standings, even though they've played really well as of late. And
Play some standing music.
Yeah, 6-2-2 in their last 10 games with the Philadelphia Flyers, and I don't know. It's Washington, Pittsburgh at the top for sure, and we'll see who gets that number 1 spot. I think it's going to be Pittsburgh in the end. Right now, it is Washington in that spot. New Jersey, I think, is a team that's going to stick around. I don't know if it's wild card or in that 4 spot, but man, I'm curious to see what the Islanders will do at the trade deadline, Mike, only because they got to do something of significance if they're going to convince 91 to stick around. So I see Garth Snow being a little bit busy in this next week because, by the way, a week today is the trade deadline.
So a lot, of course, Leaf fans are going to be thinking,
Yes.
is this the Tavares sweepstakes?
The Leafs will make one trade in the next week. One.
Okay, so if we're talking Leafs now, would you give up? Because you got to give something to get something, depending on what you think that is.
Yep.
Would you give up Jake Gardner?
Yep.
Russell? Look, we know what kind of player, but I'm just saying for what you can give it, what other teams would find attractive, they'll find Jake Gardner attractive.
I would, granted, you get something like a better defenseman
Yeah, we're not saying we're dumping Jake Gardner for a 3rd round pick or a 2nd round pick. I'm just saying if it means it, who's your okay? Let's ask Russell the unmovable players on this roster.
Unmovable.
Unmovable. Will not
Untouchable,
move.
therefore.
Untouchable. Will not move. I can name one.
Austin Matthews for sure.
Period.
I don't think you get rid of guys like Nylander. Maybe a Kapanen. I'd be leery of trading him.
You're leery of trading a fourth line guy that's barely got himself in this lineup.
The only untouchable to me is Austin Matthews.
That's what. Yeah.
Like, could you dish a Willie Nylander, for instance?
I don't think the Leafs want it, but that if you're gonna throw out a William Nylander, you're getting a significant piece back. You got to think of it like that.
It's the only way. It's the only way it works. It's only. I mean, you're not going to make a steal in this day and age.
Yeah.
There's no GMs out there that essentially you can trick. You know, you can't even do it with draft picks or prospects because
Tim Murray isn't in the league anymore, so you can't do that.
And the other 100% untouchable along with Matthews that I would say is Frederik Andersen.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
Like I was waiting for that.
I
was waiting for that. It's like asking a guy in his 70s, so who's the girl you want to marry? I'm just waiting. It's going to be Farrah Fawcett. You're saying Farrah Fawcett.
What goalie comes in and plays as well as Anderson if they trade him?
Yeah, I think I know why you're saying that. And actually there's a part of me that completely agrees with. I mean, if you think that you can, and again, being a former goalie, knowing what that communication is from the back end going forward, you're going to start all over again? Like you're going to go to the playoffs and you're going to start all over with communication. You're going to start all over. At that point, I wouldn't do it.
There isn't a team that's going to trade you an upgraded goaltender version than Frederik Andersen.
Yeah, and
that's the nicest thing I'll say about him today.
And guess what? The value you think you have in your goalie is never the same anywhere else, Dave.
Nope.
It always goes down. So that will be interesting to see exactly what the Leafs do. The playoffs, again, could be that could be an interesting. I just hope that the bottom end of the East isn't too boring. Because there's nothing worse than the not engaging playoffs in the West. Well, it is February what's today's date? Okay,
20. Is it 20?
Okay, first place in the Western Conference, the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yes.
Did anybody seriously say that they thought in mid to almost March that the Golden Knights are holding their own?
Nope. They're lying if they told you that too.
You got the Preds, followed by the Jets, Stars, Sharks, Blues, Minnesota Wild, and Ducks. Do the Flames or the Kings find their way in?
I still think the Calgary Flames are going to be a playoff team. Maybe it's more me wanting them to be a playoff team, but I still look at them and say I think the Calgary Flames, for example,
they just can't play at home. If they go in the playoffs, just say, can we play all the games in your building? I don't get the home record.
I don't get it either. I think they're better than the Minnesota Wild, so I think they could at least replace that wild card spot. I thought they were in the conversation of the Sharks and the Ducks, but they need Mike Smith back, healthy, 100%, no groin problems. Nobody's going to touch the Golden Knights. They've already won that division, so they will not melt down. The team to watch in the Central right now, and I talked about it right off the top of the season, are the Dallas Stars, because the Dallas Stars are starting to clip. And I'm not going to sit there and say they're going to surpass the Jets and the Predators, but they're getting closer to what I thought they were going to be at the start of the year. And they got a big month coming up. We'll have to see what happens there, because they've surpassed St. Louis for third spot. And for the longest time, for basically 90% of the season, it's been Preds, Jets, Blues in reverse order in that Central Division.
So two things I didn't think I'd be saying. I didn't think that the Golden Knights would be, as I said, heading towards March, first place overall in the West, but the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, I was one of those guys on the bandwagon. I mean, I saw what they were building there.
Actually, the Vegas Golden Knights have the best record in the league.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But so's the futility in Edmonton.
Yep.
So who's all losing their jobs then? Because you have to figure someone's taking a fall.
I mean, you look at the first name is the head coach.
Yeah.
I'd hate for him to lose the position, considering that they thought this guy was. But I just don't understand how this virtual same lineup from last year is doing the exact opposite of what they did last year.
Because I didn't think last year necessarily was overachieving. There might be some people who think
there's a little bit.
they outside their weight class, maybe a little bit, but not this kind of fall.
No,
this is like a tank tankier almost.
It completely is. Like they're in contention right now to win a lottery pick.
That's gross.
And you sit there and you go, what?
No, I don't think we can't take that anymore.
No.
I
thought the Edmonton Oilers were going to win the Pacific and punch their ticket into the Western Conference Final. That's what
I was
thought it was gonna
completely on that. Coming from a guy who's almost made a career at making fun of
be. That's true.
Edmonton, the entire city. The city where the sun just don't shine. Ever. I don't think there's ever been a sunny day in Edmonton. Well, it certainly isn't lately. By the way, my son's got a friend who works in the season ticket, sort of the massaging of the people who pay for the tickets.
Uh-oh.
Nice job.
Oh, boy.
And I'm going, wow, that's a good job, son. Boy, he's going to have a lot of happy people on his hands. Can you imagine what those phone calls sound like? After you paid all that money to see all these stars, and you stink.
Yeah. And they hiked the tickets up, too, at the start of the season.
Yeah, sure they did.
Yeah.
And I get it.
Yeah, because that's what teams do, right?
I mean, if you're banking on it, look, we look at trends. We talk about gambling, all that. I would have been, if even just to say conference finals, Edmonton at the beginning of the year. That's a crazy pick. I think that was almost a given.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even think the odds would be that big.
By the way, speaking of hiking up prices and so forth, big middle finger going out to DirecTV, who is increasing the rates of NFL Sunday Package massively for the 2018 season. The trickle down will mean that Canadian viewers on Bell or Rogers or whatever form of cable you get will be hiking up their prices too. So it's why
a big part of the younger generation, many of you out there probably watching the show, you're cord cutters, you're cable cutters.
It's true.
You probably you're telling me now that a lot of people even watching this show even get a package from the cable companies. A lot don't. So Russell, would you and your friends, you go move into a condo or you're in an apartment? How many of those are going to Bell or even Rogers and getting a television cable package? What percentage do?
I have two groups, like two apartment / houses that I know that have cable. Everyone else just streams and uses
so
the
like 20% out of your group of friends, probably.
About maybe less than that.
Maybe less than that.
Yeah.
And
dinosaurs.
And those are part of the reasons, because the only reason, honestly, you look at it now, the only reason I do get cables for sports, is for sports.
Yeah.
Are there other ways of getting it? Oh yes. Yes, our friends who have certain streams hidden by those names. The life and times of Giovanni Marsconi. Oh, you talking about the Pittsburgh-Baltimore game? You know what I mean? It kills me because I love it. The fake names, and I got to hand it to. Hey, those that do it, you got to love it. But it always like that. It's like Elizabeth Montgomery biography. No, it's not. It's Duke versus Kentucky. And you just got to be patient, and boom, there it is. It's awesome. Here's something else that's weird. I came across this the other day because sometimes we try to find these clips. One of the most exciting plays of its time, believe it or not, and they're going to talk about this in this clip, was the penalty shot. Like in its day, before the shootout, how many of these circumstances would you see in a season? The penalty shot. How many would you actually see? Hardly any.
Yeah, not much.
Like if I'm watching as a kid, and you're just watching the 80s, you're watching the 80s, how many times am I watching a game where I actually see a penalty shot? Almost never.
Nope.
And when you see them actually debate whether it's a penalty shot or not, the way the game is called now, you're going to laugh. Because we'll start this right at the beginning, Russell, right at the beginning. So this is the Montreal Canadiens and the New York Islanders. So it's Billy Smith in goal. And for the Montreal Canadiens, it is Mats Naslund.
Mats Naslund, number 26.
So what year are we saying this is,
Joe
Russell?
for helmet.
1984, when the penalty shot was something. And trust me, when you see the way that Mats Naslund is, I think the word is molested. I'm pretty sure right now Mats Naslund could was it inappropriate behavior?
Yep. He's in there, right?
Mats Naslund, me too. Yeah, he got Weinsteined on the way to the goal. And for that, property of the National Hockey League. See what I'm saying here? Property of the National Hockey League. Here's what it used to look like.
puck at the point. Brent Sutter gets it into the center ice area. Trotche now to Brent Sutter. Back to Trotche. DuPont back, shoots one. Blocked, and here's a break for Naslund. Deneen chasing it, gets away. Deneen hooks him from behind. And there'll be a penalty here. The Islanders come up with it. And a penalty shot has been called. Against the Islanders.
They had to think about it.
Naslund was hooked by Deneen, and a penalty shot has been awarded to Montreal. 1-1 game.
And his pop man, the
Pop man arguing it. He's arguing it.
He realized,
Watch this.
let's watch it. Deneen, you can see him. Naslund was away, but Deneen came in.
The most exciting play in any sport, Gary Green, right here. The penalty shot.
That's right, Greener.
He does. Wayne Gretzky had a penalty shot in Minnesota. The other
Here
night
it comes.
he scored.
Here is Naslund. Smith the save.
Look at Billy Smith.
That's Naslund.
It's hard to say that there was an in your face when it's a save, but when you stop the puck like that, like sticking your pads up and nice try, Naslund. You mean Naz loser land?
Naslund might have been scared to score on Billy Smith. Actually,
the way he comes down, it's like he's fully intimidated, and just it's almost an arrogant save. But you gotta love it. That's what I love. And people are like, "What do you mean? Why is that exciting?" We see that like in every second game, like every night.
Nowadays, yeah. You know what? The only thing I'll argue about there is on the penalty shot. A lot of times you need 2 to 3 steps on the defender, and that wasn't 2 to 3 steps.
You're defending Dave.
The only thing I'll say is Gord Deneen that was definitely a penalty for sure, but a penalty shot, I don't know. It's very close. It's very close.
You had money on this game? Is that what that's normally what that means?
Not in this.
No, I think in looking at it, just because he pulled him down, there was no one between him and the goalie. I think technically,
I mean, because a lot of times you need that two stride.
But what about now? What about today?
Oh yeah, they're probably firing the flag on the ice, while he crosses the blue line.
The NHL flares that apparently they will have going on.
My when I'm watching a hockey game, I'll say like I'll talk to it. I'll say throw a flag or something, and my wife will be like,
"That doesn't make any sense."
What are you talking
she didn't
about?
get that.
Penalty.
It's a penalty.
Yeah,
It's a penalty.
Come on.
You know what also is a penalty? Okay, we used to play what we called the world's worst band, and their cover of the Final Countdown.
Yeah, it's Europe.
The worst version ever by this weird band in a field. This is competition, my friends. For those of you who watch the show for a long time, this is competition. I don't know what language this is. I have no idea what it is. But here's what you need to know. Apparently, the guitar player has not been practicing with the band. I don't think it's a huge gig by the looks of it. But you can tell that the band itself was not pleased with the fact that the guitar player doesn't really seem to know the song. See at what point you can figure out that the band is upset with the guitar player. Let's have a look at guitar player not liked by band. Great song. It's not bad yet. Lost. The singer has walked off. Starting to lose the crowd. We're losing the crowd. Oh! I think it was right there. Yeah. That's it. Oh, and now the bass player. Oh. Yeah. Hey! Let's hear it for bastard people.
The
Unhappies.
The Russell Graham foursome.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, the Miserables. Great. That was one hell of a finish. You got to, and let's vote on that now.
You don't see that too often, though, right? Of the lead guitarist getting slapped.
I
in the
never
head.
saw Getty do that to Alex.
No.
That I recall. we gotta have to ask him something. Do you think we're not getting those guys on? Oh, at some point I just have to. Don't you think? Well, if you've been to our website, you've seen Alex Lifeson's acting job with the golf spoof.
Yes.
With Ron McClain and everybody else. That thing was fantastic, and he was great in that. Now coming up in the next couple of days. So hopefully, by the way, y'all had a great family weekend. It was one of those things, as I mentioned on Twitter, after everything that has happened, certainly in Florida. I'm also seeing like some legitimate pushback, like at some point, at any point, about the gun control. And I saw one guy I think it was on Facebook, where he said, look, I've had this gun for 10 years. I'm one of these guys that said, well, I don't shoot anything. He doesn't even hunt with it. He just shoots targets. But he said if it's one less gun, one less AR-15, which is what it was,
yeah.
He goes back, he takes a saw right on his deck and just saws it in half. He goes, I'm not saying for everybody or that anyone should do this. I'm just saying now there's one less of these things.
Good
And
message.
You know what I mean? So it's as my buddy Jeff Lumbie said, he goes, geez, I wonder if this becomes the ice bucket challenge where people do it. Very interesting.
That'd be great if it was.
It just, and so they had the big protest in front of the White House. What does it take, folks? Honestly, what is it? So I think this is why this family weekend, I think for a lot of people in Canada, maybe you hold your kids a little closer than you normally would. Maybe it meant a little more to spend time with the ones you love because, as we saw south of the border, it just doesn't seem to be getting better. And you have to wonder, as I said last week, just what is it going to take?
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep. You want to go do karate in the garage? Yep. It's time!
We'd like to thank Zach Jones from the University of Windsor. We hope that you'll vote. I'll put it out on Twitter again. Our good friend Lisa Varga did.
Good.
Oh, my God, she's so awesome. And now my mind is lost. Okay, so now we're back. Back to the show. We're live, Dave. Zach Jones, University of Windsor, and our friends at Red Bull. Do they make it to Europe?
Let's get ready to rock.
Who do we got coming up tomorrow?
Joe Daly tomorrow, former Winnipeg Jet great, talks about that 4-game set against Russia, and we mean the Red Army. Great matchup, great conversation tomorrow on The Richard Show.
Goalie Corner. You got to love it. Subscribe too. Don't forget.